Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome.
Yo.
We are live and we're a little bit late, guys. Thank you for jumping on. I can't see us yet.
I don't see us yet either, but I know we're there.
Okay.
We are definitely streaming. So let's just get started and then we can share it up here moving forward. So good afternoon, good day, good evening. I am Alicia Minto coming from South Carolina.
What's going on, family? This is Chris K from New Jersey.
And Tashin Poole coming in from South Carolina.
We are bringing you real money talk.
From real people.
On a real journey to real financial freedom.
We have been called to break down the global economic concepts and ideas.
To help you grasp the realities of what's happening around you and how it impacts your livelihood.
So hear the red pill revelation from our perspective as thinkers as we navigate through this twilight zone and what we can do in the now to protect ourselves.
We are the real money entourage.
We are the real money entourage.
We are the real money entourage.
And we are, guys. Welcome, welcome. I'm trying to get this out on my page. Thank you for jumping on. If you haven't had an opportunity, please take an opportunity to like our page and jump over to YouTube to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Red Pill Revelation. Guys, we've been dropping some red pills this week about this monetary system and this government that we have, or we think, or we thought we had. Listen, you got to go back and watch the streams. So Monday and Wednesday, we talked about or focused on the United States congressional record, where it told us that our paper money substitute was just that, paper money substitutes, because it was taken off the gold standard in 1971. And then we happened to yesterday get an opportunity, because we are part of this incredible wealth building system here, to take part in a free webinar that was done with Robert Kiyosaki. If you don't know who he is, we are definitely going to take a moment to give him a shout out, and know he's not reimbursing us or anything like that. You see, we're throwing in a plug, and we do it for free every single day. We just need to be intentional about doing these things so that we can bring some income into our household. But on to Robert Kiyosaki. So Robert Kiyosaki is an author. Actually, I think most people know him for real estate. Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of his very first books that he did in 1996, which is a true story that he experienced. And and that's how a lot of people started to get into real estate. And he was one of the people who kind of pioneered the real estate investment, and he is somebody that's a credible source. But what people don't know about him is that he has been acquiring gold even before he started acquiring real estate. And so yesterday he kind of gave us a breakdown of why he acquires gold, and we're just going to give our perspective, and not just gold, but just the mindset of how we operate and navigate in this system of debt that we are currently in. So I want us to kind of, Alicia and Chris, I don't know when you guys were first introduced to Robert Kiyosaki, but kind of tell us when you first heard of him. I was first introduced to him, I don't know, in my first network marketing business, I think. And that was mad years ago. When I was 18, I was introduced to personal development, really. And Robert Kiyosaki was one of the people, and it was just for the real estate portion of it. But I didn't really know. I mean, it wasn't really about the real estate, it was about the money. But I still didn't understand the terms that he was using, so it kind of went over my head. And then, of course, coming to Bryce has brought me back full circle to understand that the money matters. But Chris and Alicia, whoever wants to go first, how did you guys first hear about Robert Kiyosaki?
Chris, you can go ahead. I'll go last.
Yeah, I mean, I years ago, man, but I wasn't open to the information. So about 2 years ago, 2018 is when I really started, doing the research on him, following what he teaches. But years, man, it had to be at least 5 years ago, man, more that people have been telling me about Robert Kiyosaki since I can't remember, and I blew it off. So like I understand how some people, why they are the way they are. I was the same way. We were the same. We were there.
Yep.
So yeah, I say about last year, at least 2018 around August, September, I really got familiarized with Robert Kiyosaki and what he does in his teaching, and the fact that he started acquiring gold way before the real estate. You know what I mean? So about 2 years ago.
Awesome. Lisa?
And for me, I heard about Robert Kiyosaki, like I heard it. I heard Rich Dad Poor Dad. I heard it. I had never heard of any of his other books, and I know he has a bunch of them. So I was never really exposed to the information. Um, Fake is the first Robert Kiyosaki book that I have ever purchased.
Wow.
So it's really recent where I've opened up my mind, right, to really receive the information, because you can hear about something and make a decision not to look into it, or really involve yourself in it, maybe because you're just too caught up in your day to day that you don't think you have the time to. But coming into Care Bars International and definitely Wealth Builders Worldwide, where personal development is number one. That's when I first really got my dose of Robert Kiyosaki and all that he's about, and understanding. And it really made a lot of sense when I read Fake, and the fact that his first venture wasn't real estate, like you said earlier. Like, just knowing that his first venture was acquiring real money, I was sold that what we're doing is phenomenal, because clearly that got him to where he is.
Right. And that's, we follow real teachers, and we have done an episode on that. We have actually given him a shout out and showed you our books that we have acquired from him. I have known Robert Kiyosaki I've known about him for a really long time. I actually used to have a book club with kids, because I feel like kids should know the difference between assets and liabilities. So it is great for them to read that book. But you and Chris both said two things that we heard, and we're going to kind of shift into the webinar yesterday. But you and Chris both just said something that we heard yesterday that we may not have heard put this way before, in terms of receiving information. So both of you said, Chris said he wasn't ready to receive it because he wasn't there, like his mentor wasn't there. And you basically said the same thing. But Robert Kiyosaki gave us the lesson yesterday and told us about our neural path. I think that's what neuroplastic is what he called it. And there are 4 areas of that in terms of our brains. So mental intelligence, I believe, was one, emotional intelligence was another, physical intelligence, and then spiritual intelligence. So I kind of do want to get you guys' perspective on talking about that, and how it related to you, because we all I think have some sense of that.
Absolutely. So for me, if we're going down the line, so with the mental piece of it, it is really a part of retraining what you've been taught. So getting the right type of education, not just the education that was provided in the school system, that we know is very subjective, and that has been outlined by one person for a nation of people. So you have to get the right education from the right teachers. The emotional side of it for me was stepping outside the comfort zone, really pushing away the fear of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and understanding that, that's for the last one for me. And then the physical part is doing it, right? Like I'm preaching and telling people, listen, you got to put yourself in a better situation. You've got to start to do this and do that. And if I'm not doing it, I can't expect anybody else to do it. So, whatever it is that I was doing before versus what I'm doing now, I'm acquiring assets. I'm acquiring tier 1 assets. And people may not understand it, but that's what I'm doing. I'm physically doing it. I'm not trading gold. There's no GLD going on here. I am not acquiring futures, of gold. I am physically touching and holding what I am preaching and yelling to the masses to do for themselves and their families. I'm doing it myself for my family. And then the spiritual side of it, it is a mission. Like I've worked with unemployed people. I've worked with, people who, my coworkers, right, were struggling. We were all check to check, and we're trying to help people, but we're still check to check. So this is really a mission, because even if you're a worker,
Crazy.
you still are in the bottom percentage. Like, you could be working your butt off, but if you're not putting those dollars to proper use, if you're not delaying some gratification in your purchases, then you're going to be stuck. So it is a mission.
Yeah.
And then we know there's a lot of integrity within Carrot Bars International. So I know we're in the right place at the right time, because we've definitely had to shift ourselves to be successful in all four of those intelligences.
Right. Chris, before I turn it over to you, Alicia, you said about you was talking about how emotionally people get in fear, and typically that is what holds us back. I just heard a quote real quick, and it said emotional intelligence allows you to win battles without fighting any. So the hardest part, what Robert Kiyosaki was saying, is that the emotional part is the hardest part, because we get attached to what we already feel like is right or whatever. So we can't get that mental intelligence because we're stuck to what we think we know.
Right.
And that's why we can't go nowhere. Go ahead.
And real quick, sorry, Chris, real quick. We got you, Chris. But it's not even a matter of what you're doing could be wrong, right? Because you may be doing the right things, but there's just another piece that you're missing. So no one's saying that what you've been doing has been completely wrong, but what we are saying is, in order to maximize what you've been doing, you need to add another level. You need to add another ingredient, right, in the mix, to make whatever it is that you're working on sustainable, and for it to grow into something, bigger and better for yourself, for your family, for your future, not just yourself.
Okay, Chris, we gotta turn it over to you.
I just want to agree with Miss Alicia. I- I'm catching y'all here and there, so I'm guessing my service is jumping in and out. So I don't really want to mess up the screen.
Well, we can hear you. We can hear you good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree fully with everything Miss Alicia just said. Like all them steps. Like it's really about taking accountability. Taking the step, or acknowledging the fact, taking the steps, and sharing with others, man. It's more so. I mean, I could have kept this information to myself, just like either one of y'all could have.
Right.
But what's the purpose in that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I said,
And go ahead.
no.
I was just gonna say, and we share stuff, as I mentioned, all the time with people. Most times it's nothing that actually add value or bring value to you, though. It's just stuff that you're adding to that don't matter, really. You have an opportunity, and and thank you for jumping on, because it took us to listen to it a couple times for it to stick, because we are those real people that Alicia was talking about. We had to get our mind right. It took me 9 months to look at, okay, Tashin, you might have these businesses on the side, but what are you doing with your money? It's not working, right? You thought your 401k was your money, and it wasn't. Like, you thought that was your savings. And of course, I knew I wasn't going to have my job forever, but I thought past that, but not in the terms of acquiring assets. And I just think that if the more you hear it, the more you will break that mental barrier that you have, so that you can receive new information, so that you can move forward in a positive light for you and your family. As far as the emotional, I already talked about that. The physical part too. We kind of talked about the physical part. People just actually doing it. It's hard for people. Oftentimes people say what they're going to do, but actually don't do it. And that is the problem. And Chris, I love the fact that you talk about it all the time. You have Focus to Gain Entertainment, and you started that mad years ago, and you have taken the steps to prove that as long as you keep at it, like you're gonna reap a harvest because you're keeping at it, and that focus to gain is still there because you still focus to gain. And carrot bars is just the added benefit because you can really focus to gain real wealth and real assets. So you want to connect with people that can bring you up. Like Alicia said about the elevator in his post, like that was, you want people going up the elevator with you, not bringing you down.
Right.
That's my,
and that's the part right there. It's like you didn't learn this information by yourself. But okay, let me back up. You don't know what you know based on your own efforts.
right.
You were inducted into the information. You were provided the information. You went to school and you sat in a classroom and got this information. So it's going to take more than just you to rewire everything that you've been taught. So connecting with people who are going to elevate you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you have to connect with people outside of whatever core group you're in that is not providing you with that information. Not saying you have to be completely, drenched in it. I like to be drenched in it. I like to be fed every day. But if that's too overwhelming for you, then get it in doses. But you have to go where you're going to be fed, period. So yes, you need elevators, as in people. You need people who are going to lift you up. Elevators in your circle, definitely.
What did Kiyosaki say? If you want to know your future, look around at your 5 friends. You know what I mean? And that says a lot, just from the company you keep. If you're not around, if you're the 5th ball player and you're around 4 of them that suck,
you're gonna be the 5th one.
You're gonna be the 4th, right.
And you're gonna be right with them, bricks right with them. So, just y'all said the elevators. That's a great, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate the acknowledgement too, Miss Cool. That was dope.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. But it's real examples because we really are real people, and we can't stress that to you enough. Like, we were one of the I know, speaking from myself, and of course I know you two the same, just in previous conversations, that, or Alicia, you signed up immediately, right? So it made sense to you. But I deem myself a pretty intelligent person, and I try to look at everything from, outside of myself, right? For the most part. But I didn't see it. And it's because we were never taught it. We were never taught this information. So I was always holding on to a bag with holes in it because it was paper money substitute. It is not real money. And I never knew that. And Robert Kiyosaki talked about why he started acquiring it when he realized that his rich dad taught him how to become rich by playing Monopoly, which we all play, right? We play Monopoly. However, most of us pay taxes and lose our money to the banks because we really don't understand the game of money. And we don't understand because we don't even know that the paper fake Monopoly money is the same money on the dang on game.
Same money.
We got to get real money. Real money is weighted.
Yes, they're telling you your future. They're telling you what it is in a game.
In a game.
In a game. So you either learn how to play the game or you're gonna get played. That's just it.
And most of us are really getting played because we don't understand what real money is. And the real money entourage 99%. We want to help educate you as we get education, and we want your feedback, and we want any insight to help you. But what we know, just based on what Robert Kiyosaki was saying, and even if we go to science, he's probably right in saying that school programs you, which we all know, to memorize. That's what you do when you go to school. You are not actually learning, because if you were learning, school would teach you how to do the one thing that most of us spend our time trying to do, and that's earn money. And school doesn't teach you how to do that. So that is a clue. Right. That is a clue. Do you have anything else you want to add before we get out of here? Anything else that you guys took away from what Robert Kiyosaki was saying?
When it comes to the mental and the emotional block, Mr. Kiyosaki, his quote was, "It's easier to steal from people if they don't know anything." So you have to put yourself in a position to at least start to learn, so that you are not completely taken advantage of, because that's what's happening. Our dollars are being stolen. It's legal thievery, really, through taxation, through inflation. And if you don't understand how you can position yourself properly to hedge against those things, you're gonna you're you're gonna be left holding an empty bag. All that you worked for, all that you learned, all that you acquired, it'll be empty if you hold those dollars as dollars. Period. You've got to move it. That's why it's currency. That's why it's called cash flow. You move that cash away from you as quickly as possible to acquire yourself some more assets, and definitely appreciating assets.
Awesome. Chris, do you want to, anything else you want to add to that?
Hey, man, get some research, man. If y'all need some, I got some questions, just reach back out to us. You know what I'm saying? We out here. We out here and we're willing to help. You know what I mean? So take advantage of that opportunity. My service is bad, so I don't really want to go to. Y'all know how I feel.
We do.
Y'all know me.
I know.
Love your family. Love your friends.
Encourage one another.
That's right.
You know, give love.
Yes.
You
do
know,
your research.
That's it. Do your
Get
research. Get you exchange them paper dollars for gold. And like Chris said, get at us. If you have any questions, get with real teachers that can teach you. And Alicia, just real quick, she did point out one thing that I meant to go back to, and that's the fact that you said that we all had to start. We had to go from listening to fake teachers, what we thought was real, to shift our mind to get some more information from people who are actually in the grind. Like right. Robert Kiyosaki is not just somebody that we're just throwing out there. He has a financial statement. He talks about how he goes to the bank and they give him $500 million to get any property that he wants. And what he does is he takes his profits of the monopoly money and change it to real money, God's money. So these are people who are doing the thing. Teachers, fake teachers, PhD. He says that I'm not even gonna tell y'all that. I'm not even gonna tell y'all that.
Hole, huh?
Get some real education, like like Chris said. You know, encourage one another, love each other, and you know, do your research. Get your information on your own. Now is the time. Now is time. Now is the time. Everything, not just money wise. Everything. Your life really depends on it.
It does. It does. It does.
All right. Are we good? You got any last things, Alicia? You good?
Mr. Kiyosaki. I mean, these are his words. He says, "Savers are losers," and he will tell you in a heartbeat, "The rich don't work for money." So, I mean, those aren't my words. Though, and ignorance is not bliss. Trust me.
It is not.
It is not. Because now that you know, and it's up to you to make a power move at this point. So you can definitely get with one of us. We'll get you started. Get you a free gold savings account. If somebody shared this stream with you, get back with them. But you need to start, and you can start small. No one's requiring you to open up a $25,000 gold savings account. Matter of fact, you can't even get gold really anywhere right now. Nowhere.
Robert Kiyosaki said he couldn't get it. He said he can't get it. He don't know about carrot bars, but
because I can go in my back office and I can order myself some gold.
Me too.
He know about carrot bars. He probably got KBC coin and everything. He just ain't gonna tell. He not gonna put all that out there where he get his. If you notice, he don't tell his sources. He know where gold is at. He know carrot bars is lit.
It's lit. It is lit.
Well, guys,
all right.
Au, and we'll see you next time.
Au.
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 Hold on.